Before we dive into one of the most legendary label runs in hip-hop history, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your favorite bad boy moment in the comments. Whether it's Biggie, Mase, Danity Kane, or even Diddy doing the Harlem Shake in a plastic suit, this one's for the culture. Let's get into it. Intro scene. Cue, flashy montage, shiny suits, champagne popping, Biggie and the Coogie, Puff dancing in slow motion. Back when rap videos looked like short films and every outfit cost more than your rent, Bad Boy wasn't just a label, it was a lifestyle. You couldn't turn on the TV without seeing that glimmer of Versace and a Puff Daddy two-step. This was more than music, it was a movement that made the East Coast cool again, and every kid wanted a Jesus piece and a bottle of Moët. But behind all that glam was a machine, built by ambition, hunger, and some of the most game-changing albums hip-hop ever heard. Let's break it down. Every iconic Bad Boy drop from the come-up years. 1. The Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die, 1994. This is the album that put Bad Boy on the map. A 22-year-old Biggie dropped the most cinematic street album since Illmatic. Juicy, Big Papa, Gimme the Loot. It was grimy but polished. Diddy's influence brought the gloss, but Biggie brought the pain. This wasn't just rap, it was the blueprint for street meets mainstream. Bad Boy had its franchise player, the East Coast was back, and the shiny suit era was officially in motion. 2. Faith Evans. Faith, 1995. Diddy knew what he was doing. He needed the Mary J. Blige vibe, but smoother, more R&B diva than Hood Cinderella. Faith delivered vocals that felt like Sunday service after Saturday Sin. This album gave Bad Boy soul. Plus, she was married to Biggie, which made the label feel like one big dysfunctional family reunion. 3. Total, 1996. You ever hear a hook and think, oh, that's gonna live in clubs forever? That was Total's whole job. They weren't the strongest singers, but they had vibes. Can't You See with Biggie? Iconic. This was the Bad Boy girl group prototype. Edgy, sexy, and always surrounded by rappers in Versace shades. 4. 112, 1996. Straight out of Atlanta. These boys could sing. Their debut gave us Only You. And the remix with Biggie and Mase? Come on, bruh. That song still knocks. 112 added legit vocal chops to the roster, and they were Diddy's R&B cleanup crew. If Total brought the edge, 112 brought the wedding playlist. Oh, 5. Puff Daddy, No Way Out, 1997. Now this one's wild. Diddy went from background dancer to rapper, and somehow dropped one of the most successful albums of the decade. Let's keep it a buck. He didn't write those bars, but the production, the features, the vision, Victory, Been Around the World, and of course, I'll Be Missing You. This wasn't just an album, it was Puff's victory lap, and Biggie's funeral soundtrack. It sold 7 million copies. Let that sink in. 6. The Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death, 1997. 2 discs, all fire, no skips. This is when Biggie went from rap star to rap legend. Hypnotize, Mo Money, Mo Problems, What's Beef? It was like Big had a crystal ball. He made club bangers, street anthems, and storytelling masterpieces all on the same album. Released just weeks after his death, it cemented his legacy forever. And for Bad Boy, this was the peak, the top of the mountain, the moment they became the most important label in hip-hop. But what goes up must come down. Or in this case, must get even flashier, messier, and way more commercial. Up next, the Domination Era, when Mase, 112, and Puff ran the charts. But the cracks started showing. By 1997, Bad Boy wasn't just running hip-hop, they were hip-hop. Biggie was gone, but the label kept moving, powered by flashy music videos, multi-platinum dreams, and a factory of hits. This was the era of the Bad Boy takeover, when rap got shinier, R&B got smoother, and Diddy's budget got out of control. But underneath the charts and champagne, the cracks were forming. Mase, Harlem World, 1997. Mase was the perfect storm. Laid-back delivery, Harlem swag, commercial polish. Harlem World was an instant hit. It went quadruple platinum. Feel So Good, What You Want, Looking at Me. He made flossy rap sound effortless. He wasn't the most lyrical, but he was marketable as hell. Mase became the face of Bad Boy post-Biggie. The shiny suit era was fully activated. Faith Evans, Keep the Faith, 1998. Faith leveled up. If her debut was soul food, this album was full-course R&B. Love Like This is still a party starter decades later. It was personal, polished, and full of vocals that cut deep. She proved she could stand on her own, not just as Biggie's widow, but as one of Bad Boy's strongest artists. Total. Kima, Keisha, and Pam, 1998. This one slept on. Total leaned into a more sensual, grown vibe. Their second album had less hype, but more confidence. Trippin' with Missy still goes hard, but by this point, the label was starting to show signs of chaos. Artists weren't getting the same push. Even with hits, you could feel the distractions creeping in. 112, Room 112, 1998. Now this right here. This was R&B Bad Boy in its prime. Anywhere. Love Me with Mase. Stay With Me. This album was smooth. Bedroom music with platinum potential. 112 found their identity here. Not just backup singers on rap hooks, but legit stars. Bad Boy's R&B wing was flying high. Black Rob. Life Story. 2000. Whoa! Let's talk about it. Whoa! Wasn't just a hit. It was a cultural moment. This was the street edge that Bad Boy needed post-Mase. Life Story was raw, East Coast, gritty storytelling. Rob brought real pain to a label drowning in gloss. This was the antidote to the shiny suit overdose, and it worked, temporarily. G. Depp, Child of the Ghetto, 2001. Now we're getting into the underrated files. G. Depp was nice with it. His flow, clean, his delivery, slick, his stories, dark. Special Delivery still gets the club jumping, but the album had layers. He was battling demons, literally and musically. This project didn't go platinum, but it gave Bad Boy credibility. Not every album has to sell 10 million to make a statement. Puff Daddy, Forever, 1999. This is where things start getting weird. Diddy tried to follow up No Way Out with Forever, and the energy just wasn't the same. Biggie was gone. Mase was in the church. The album felt like a bad sequel. Bigger budget, weaker story. Do you like it? Do you want it? Come on, Puff, be serious. Still had some moments, but overall, this was the start of the Bad Boy cool-off. The Notorious B.I.G., Born Again, 1999. Posthumous albums are always tricky. Born Again was a cash grab. Let's keep it real. Old Biggie verses pasted on new beats with random features. There were flashes. Dead Wrong with Eminem is classic, but overall it felt disjointed. Fans missed real Biggie, not remixes of voice memos. Still, it sold, because Biggie was still king. Diddy. The Saga Continues. 2001. This was like a Bad Boy mixtape on steroids. Too many features, too much going on. Diddy tried to keep the momentum going, but the public was moving on. There were some joints. Bad Boy for Life is a top-tier anthem, but by now, even Puff's dance moves were starting to look tired. This was the end of an era. Mase retired, Faith left, Total disappeared. Even Diddy seemed unsure of what Bad Boy was anymore. Coming up next, the struggle era. When the hits slowed down, the artists left, and Diddy tried everything from R&B duets to reality TV just to keep the lights on. By 2002, the Bad Boy empire was starting to crack. Biggie was gone, Mase was preaching, Faith dipped, Total vanished, and Diddy? He was bouncing between names like he was dodging taxes. This was the identity crisis era. Bad Boy was still alive, but the hits weren't hitting like they used to. 112, Part 3, 2001. 112 tried to keep the R&B train going. The vocals were still tight, and they had joints like Peaches and Cream and It's Over Now. The problem? The magic was fading. Diddy was barely involved at this point, and you could feel it. It was polished, but soulless. The chemistry that made Room 112 special was missing. It sold well, but something felt off. Faith Evans, Faithfully, 2001. This was quietly one of her best albums. The vocals, still elite. The songwriting, mature, vulnerable, clean. But Bad Boy didn't push it. Faith was tired of the machine. You can hear it in the music. This was her swan song before dipping to Capitol Records. And once she left, Bad Boy basically said goodbye to grown-ass R&B for a while. Loon, 2003. Okay, let's talk about it. Loon was supposed to be the next Mase. Same laid-back flow, same Harlem charm, same slow delivery, but zero charisma. This album wasn't bad, it just wasn't anything. It felt like it was made by a marketing team trying to recreate Harlem World in a lab. He had one hit, Down For Me, with Mario Winans. But everything else? Forgettable. Mase, Double Up, 1999. Note, even though it dropped pre-2002, its impact bleeds into this era. This album technically came out in '99, but it was the beginning of the end. Mase was already out the door spiritually. The lyrics were darker, the energy was weird, the fun was gone. And a few months later, he retired to become Pastor Betha. Bad Boy lost their golden boy, and the label started scrambling. Black Rob. The Black Rob Report, 2005. Rob tried to follow up Life Story, but by now, the buzz was gone. He was in and out of jail. The promotion was weak, and the sound felt outdated. Whoa was lightning in a bottle. This album didn't catch that spark again, and unfortunately, this release kind of marked the end of Black Rob's run as a relevant artist. One of the label's grimiest MCs quietly faded out. P. Diddy. Press Play, 2006. Diddy decided he was going to be solo again. New name, new swag, new hairline, and surprisingly, Press Play had some joints. Tell Me, with Christina Aguilera. Come to Me, with Nicole Scherzinger. This was Diddy in full pop star mode. It was dancey, synth-heavy, and very 2006. But let's be honest, this wasn't really hip-hop. It was Diddy trying to stay cool in an era that didn't really need him anymore. It charted. It had a budget. But did anybody actually love this album? Didn't think so. By now, Bad Boy wasn't dominating the charts. They were just trying to stay on the scoreboard. But then Diddy found a new hustle. Television. Making the Band. Reality shows. Auditions. Drama. Coming up next, the TV era. When the studios turned into stages, Danity Kane became stars, and Day26 tried to bring the R&B wave back to life. When the music started fading, Diddy did what any marketing genius would do. He flipped the script and turned Bad Boy into a TV show. This era wasn't about mixtapes or bars. It was about ratings, group chemistry, and did Diddy just shut down the studio again? Welcome to the reality TV era of Bad Boy, where the artists were born on camera and the drama sold more than the albums. Danity Kane. Danity Kane, 2006. Nobody expected this to work, but it did. Danity Kane, 5 women chosen through Making the Band 3, coached by Laurieann Gibson, yelled at by Diddy, came through with a certified pop R&B hit. Showstopper went top 10. The album went platinum. The vocals were tight, the production was clean, and they had the industry on lock, and for about 6 months. But the group was basically built on drama, and Diddy, he was fanning the flames the whole time. Danity Kane. Welcome to the Dollhouse, 2008. Against all odds, they dropped a second album, and it actually slapped. Damaged was a radio smash, and the album debuted at #1 on Billboard. Like, they were really moving numbers. But again, the reality show curse struck hard. Backstage beef, infighting, bad management, and boom, Diddy fired half the group live on TV. A classic Bad Boy move. Build it up, burn it down. Day26. Day26, 2008. Making the Band 4 gave us Day26, the male R&B group version of Danity Kane. And truthfully, these dudes could sing. Their debut album had some heat. Got Me Going. Since You've Been Gone. Co-Star. They brought real talent, real vocals, but they also brought real egos. And Diddy loved it. Studio arguments, fighting on camera, wild tour rehearsals. It was TV gold, but behind the scenes, it was chaos. Still, the album hit #1 and the fans were locked in. Day26, Forever in a Day, 2009. This was the beginning of the end. The second album had moments, but the magic was gone. The group dynamic was fried. Key was spiraling. Brian was yelling. Willie wanted to lead everything. Diddy was doing more executive producing for the camera than for the music, and it showed. The album didn't have the same push. And just like that, another Bad Boy act faded out before they could fully break through. At this point, Bad Boy wasn't a record label. It was a TV show with a soundtrack. The talent was real. The vocals were there. But the foundation built on drama. And when the cameras cut off, so did the career momentum. But Diddy wasn't done yet. After all the platinum plaques, the losses, the label switches, and the name changes, he had one more evolution in the tank. Coming up next, the Legacy Era, Dirty Money, Biggie tributes, and Diddy's final reinvention before the curtain closed on Bad Boy's golden run. After decades of dominance, drama, and reinvention, Bad Boy wasn't the same. The artists were gone, the chart toppers had slowed down, and Diddy, he was no longer trying to be the CEO of the streets. He was chasing legacy now. This era wasn't about making new stars. It was about reminding people he was one. The final albums weren't just projects, they were farewells, reinventions, and tributes. Diddy, Last Train to Paris, 2010, with Dirty Money. This one shocked a lot of people. Diddy went full left field, mixing EDM, soul, synth pop, and R&B into a moody, sexy, futuristic concept album. And somehow, it worked. With Don Richard and Kalena as Dirty Money, Diddy crafted an album that felt like Kanye's 808s meets a Paris fashion show in a thunderstorm. Angels, Hello Good Morning, Coming Home, all bangers. Critics loved it. Fans were confused. But years later, it's a cult classic. It proved that even in 2010, Diddy still had something to say, just not in the voice you expected. The Notorious B.I.G. Duets, the final chapter, 2005. Let's rewind for a second. Duets wasn't an artistic masterpiece. Let's be clear. It was more of a label event. A who's who of guest features over old Biggie verses. It had everybody from Jay-Z to Eminem to Korn. Yes, Korn. It was chaotic. But it sold. The real value? It kept Biggie's name in circulation for a new generation. Even if it wasn't pure, it was profitable. And at this point, that was kind of the bad boy motto. Diddy, The Love Album, Off the Grid, 2023. After a decade of silence, name changes, and a few Cyrock commercials too many, Diddy came back with a message: love. The Love Album was grown man R&B, soulful, clean, no rap cap, just vibes, features from Babyface, The Weeknd, Mary J. Blige, and more. It wasn't chasing the charts. It was curated for luxury listening. More champagne at the penthouse, less champagne in the club. Was it a hit? Not exactly. But it didn't have to be. This was Diddy in legacy mode, reminding you he could still make a vibe, even if the world had moved on. The Final Word. Bad Boy started as the coolest label in hip-hop. Biggie made it legendary. Mase made it mainstream. Faith and 112 gave it soul. The TV era made it messy. And Diddy, he made it unforgettable. From Juicy to I'll Be Missing You to Showstopper to Coming Home, Bad Boy didn't just give us music. It gave us moments. The clothes, the egos, the hits, the heartbreak. It was beautiful, chaotic, iconic. This has been another breakdown from Fake Famous. I'm Elliot Wilson, and if you made it this far, you already know what it is. Hit that like, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. We drop new episodes every week, and the next one might just be about your favorite rapper. Stay tapped in.